Do you want to know what it feels like to mop the floor of a company for 3 years, and then one day sit at the head of their boardroom? Emily Carter never imagined she'd be the woman who brought a billion-dollar empire to its knees, only to rebuild it stronger, brick by brick, with her own name carved into the foundation. Just weeks ago, she was invisible, blending into gray walls and marble floors. Now people looked at her with either awe or fear, and neither one sat easily on her shoulders. She could still feel the sting of whispered insults behind her back, the weight of Rachel Evans' threats, the pressure of Daniel Whitman's intense gaze, asking without words, "Will you stay?" But beneath all that, something even louder echoed, "You weren't supposed to be here." And that was exactly why she stayed. If you've ever felt underestimated, overlooked, or like the world forgot you existed, don't move. Because what Emily is about to face next will change everything, not just for her, but for every single person who doubted what a woman in a gray uniform could become. Stay with us. You won't believe what happens by the end. At exactly 9:58 a.m., Daniel Whitman, CEO of Whitman International, adjusted his Italian silk tie in front of a floor-to-ceiling window 60 stories above Manhattan. From this height, people looked like colored ants. That was how Daniel preferred to see the world: small, predictable, easy to control. A soft knock on the door shattered his concentration. "Mr. Whitman, we have a problem," Ben Harris, his assistant, said with a voice that already knew it was about to be blamed. Daniel turned slowly, dangerously. "What kind of problem?" "Your translator. He was in a car accident. He won't make it." For a full second, silence fell so hard it seemed to distort the air. Then came the sound of Daniel's fist slamming against the glass conference table, a sharp, terrifying crack. "I'm about to face the most important negotiation of the year with Han Global Holdings, and you're telling me I have no translator?" Ben tried to respond, but Daniel had already turned his back, staring out the window again, pulse pounding. Canceling was not an option. Postponing would be suicidal. The Chinese delegation was flying back to Shanghai that same night. The deal had to close now or never. That's when Rachel Evans entered, looking like she'd stepped out of a power suit fashion ad. "They're here," she said, her smile razor thin. "Mr. Huang and his team are in reception." Daniel's mind raced. "Buy me time. Get them into the boardroom. I don't care what it takes, find a translator. Kidnap one if you have to." The boardroom glistened with modern intimidation: glass walls, a massive walnut table, black leather chairs, and a skyline view that whispered dominance. In the far corner, nearly invisible, a janitor was mopping the floors. Emily Carter, dressed in a gray uniform, blending in like shadow. She'd worked there for 3 years. No one knew her. That was by design. As the delegation from Han Global entered, Daniel greeted them with a Mandarin phrase he'd rehearsed all week. Mr. Huang nodded politely, then responded in a stream of rapid Mandarin. Daniel froze. Not a word registered. He tried again, switching to English. Mr. Huang blinked and shook his head. Rachel chimed in with flawless English, but the delegation stared blankly. Only one advisor looked like he understood barely. Sweat formed at Daniel's temple. He forced a smile, gesturing with his hands in desperation. It was like watching a lion drown in a teacup. Emily Carter paused her mopping and watched. She had seen Daniel from the shadows, confident, brutal, invincible. But right now he was unraveling. Then Mr. Huang checked his watch, impatient. Emily exhaled slowly. Her grandmother's voice echoed in her mind. "Sometimes you step up or you vanish forever." She dropped her mop. "Qing Yanliang women, Kei Jik Shu, Tanhua." She said, her voice ringing across the room. Silence fell. 7 heads turned toward her. Rachel's jaw dropped. Daniel looked as if the floor had opened beneath him. Mr. Huang's face lit up. He replied instantly in Mandarin. "He's willing to wait 30 minutes for a translator." Emily translated, calm as glass. "But not a minute more. They have a flight tonight." You speak Mandarin?" Daniel managed to ask. "Mandarin, Cantonese, a little Wu, also English, French, and I'm learning Russian for fun," she added with casual confidence. Rachel's face tightened. Daniel was stunned into silence. Then after a beat, his instincts surged. "She stays," he told the delegation. "She'll translate everything." For the next 90 minutes, Emily, still in her janitor's uniform, sat beside Daniel and conducted a flawless, dynamic translation of the negotiation. She adjusted tone, explained idioms, softened phrases that might have offended, and illuminated cultural nuances with precision. Daniel kept glancing at her. How had she stayed invisible for so long? She was brilliant, unshakable, and dangerously underrated. By the end, Mr. Huang stood and shook Daniel's hand with clear satisfaction, then turned to Emily and bowed. "She has a gift," he said through her own translation. "We hope to work with her directly again." The elevator doors closed behind the delegation. The room emptied. Emily quietly picked up her mop, the adrenaline draining from her. Daniel watched her go. "Emily Carter, right?" She stopped. "Yes, Mr. Whitman. In 15 years running this company," he said slowly, "I've never been this blindsided." Rachel stepped forward, her voice sweet poison. "Isn't it strange, a janitor who speaks better Mandarin than our professionals? Almost suspicious." Emily didn't flinch. "I also clean better than most cleaning professionals. Excellence doesn't care about uniforms, Miss Evans." Daniel smirked. Rachel flushed. "Ben," Daniel called. "Walk Rachel to her office. I need to debrief Miss Carter." Rachel glared as she left. Emily turned to leave, but Daniel's hand caught her wrist, not roughly but firmly. His voice dropped low. "You and I need to talk." They walked into his private office, a stark, minimalist space of white walls and a floating oak desk. "Sit," he said. "I'm fine standing. My shift isn't over. Would you prefer to have this conversation in human resources?" Emily sat. "Who are you, really?" he asked. "Emily Carter, 30, UC Berkeley, East Asian Linguistics. Dropped out when my mom got sick. Cleaning pays the bills." Daniel's eyes narrowed. "So you're telling me I had a multilingual asset mopping my floors for 3 years? You never asked." He studied her arms crossed. "Do you know how much I paid the translator who didn't show? I don't track other people's salaries. 10,000 pesos an hour. Today alone would have been almost 40. She nodded. "Congratulations on your generosity." Daniel laughed for the first time in weeks. "You're different." She stepped forward, calm but direct. "I don't beg, Mr. Whitman. I work." He stepped closer. 500,000 pesos a month. Time stopped. "Excuse me?" "You heard me. Plus performance bonuses. I want you on my team. Immediately. To do what exactly? Executive assistant for international relations? Starting today. We'll test the fit for 3 months, then go permanent." Emily stared at the offer he slid across the desk. "Why?" she asked softly. "Why me?" Daniel met her eyes. "Because you saved a $1 billion deal. Because your Mandarin is better than the guy I flew in from Harvard. And because I have a feeling about you. I don't get those often, but when I do, I never miss." Emily looked at the contract again. "I need conditions," she said finally. Daniel raised an eyebrow. "You're negotiating with me. First, full legal contract. Benefits. Second, I won't make coffee. Third, I want time to finish my degree online. Fourth, an advance. My mom's treatment isn't cheap." Daniel considered her. "Done. With one condition of mine." "What absolute loyalty?" "You work for me, not the company." Emily understood. He wasn't just hiring a translator. He was bringing her into his world. "I accept," she said, "as long as respect goes both ways." He extended his hand. "Do we have a deal, Ms. Carter?" Their handshake lingered, but Emily could feel it. This wasn't just a job offer. It was the beginning of something far more dangerous and far more personal. And the real storm hadn't even started yet. What would you have done in Emily's place? Walked away or seized the moment? Let us know in the comments, and if this story moved, you don't forget to like and share. Right now, Emily Carter never imagined that crossing a line once would mean she could never go back. That morning, she walked into Whitman International, not as a janitor, but as Daniel Whitman's new executive assistant for international relations. Her borrowed pencil skirt and pressed ivory blouse, courtesy of Rachel Evans's private office closet, fit her like borrowed armor. The hallways she used to mop now whispered with new tension as she passed. Inside the executive boardroom, a dozen department heads waited for the morning briefing. Daniel sat at the head of the table, unreadable as always. The seat next to him was empty, reserved for her. When Emily entered, silence fell. A few whispered. Most stared. "This is Emily Carter," Daniel announced without looking up. "She'll be leading our relations with the Asian sector going forward." Rachel's voice sliced through the room like a scalpel. Temporarily, she added with a smile that didn't touch her eyes. "Of course," Daniel said dryly, "unless competence suggests otherwise." Rachel leaned forward. "Emily, perhaps you could share your background in international negotiations? Since this is such a sudden appointment, a trap. Smooth, classic, venom-laced." Emily met her gaze calm. "Of course, but first allow me to share the comparative analysis I prepared on the Huang proposal." She connected her tablet to the main screen. Charts, market trends, loopholes, slide after slide. Her voice was steady, persuasive. She not only dissected the deal, she proposed modifications that would boost profit margins by 11%. By the time she finished, the room had transformed from suspicion to stunned silence. "You did all this last night?" the director of marketing asked. "I don't sleep much," Emily replied. Rachel's manicured nails tapped rhythmically on the table. Afterward, Daniel pulled her aside. "You just crushed 3 years of Garcia's work in 20 minutes. Was that a compliment?" "It was an invitation," he said, "to keep doing what you're doing." But victory had a cost. That night back in the suite at the Langham Hotel in Chicago, Emily stood in front of the floor-to-ceiling window, staring out at the glittering skyline. Her room, technically shared with Daniel, had a sliding glass wall between the bedroom and the bathroom, a design choice both modern and maddening. The line between personal and professional had never felt so thin. She had barely laid down when her phone buzzed. Unknown number, a message with no name, so quick to rise. "I wonder how fast you'll fall." Attached were 2 photos, one her walking into the suite beside Daniel, 2 their bodies brushing in the hallway, taken from an angle that suggested much more than what had happened. Her heart pounded. Another message. "Relax, only a few directors have seen it. For now." Emily's hands shook. She called Daniel. No answer. She didn't sleep that night. At 6 a.m., she was already in the lobby, gripping her coffee like a lifeline, when Daniel stepped out of the elevator, crisp as ever, in a charcoal suit. "You look like hell," he said. "Thanks. You always know how to charm a woman." Daniel's smile faded. What happened, Emily debated. If she told him, she would look weak. But if she didn't? "There's been a smear attempt. Photos. From last night." His eyes hardened instantly. "Let me see." She handed him the phone. Daniel's jaw clenched as he scrolled. "Who the hell would?" But he didn't finish. They both knew. Rachel, Emily whispered. "It has to be." Daniel looked furious. "I'll take care of it." "No," Emily said sharply. "Let me." The boardroom at the Chicago International Business Center was already filling when they arrived. The delegation from Han Global Holdings sat poised, silent, unreadable. And there, like a fox in red silk, Rachel Evans had taken a seat among the legal advisors. "Daniel," she said sweetly, standing to kiss him on both cheeks. "I thought you'd appreciate my presence here. It's such a critical deal." Daniel ignored her. "Let's begin." 2 hours of negotiation followed. Emily translated flawlessly, capturing every nuance, every unspoken tension. At one point, Madame Liu, one of the Chinese VPs, turned to Daniel and murmured through Emily, "She is not just fluent, she is culturally aware. That is rare." But then Rachel struck. "Perhaps we should clarify Ms. Carter's credentials," she said smoothly, turning to the group. "Given her sudden promotion and limited experience." A long silence. Daniel opened his mouth, but Emily beat him to it. "I believe in transparency," she said. "So let me be clear. I studied Mandarin at UC Berkeley, nearly graduated with honors. I left school because my mother got cancer and no one was going to pay her hospital bills but me. For 3 years, I cleaned this company's floors while listening to strategy meetings you all thought no one heard. I wasn't invisible. I was learning." Rachel's face turned to stone. Emily stepped forward. "And if any of you believe I don't belong here, feel free to challenge me. But not with rumors, with facts." Applause broke out, not thunderous but sincere. Rachel tried one last strike. "You're good at performing, almost as good as you were last night in the suite." The room froze. Emily's lips parted. But before she could reply, Daniel stood. "Enough. Rachel, my office. Now." In his temporary, sweet-turned-war room, the storm exploded. "You hired someone to follow us," Daniel barked. Rachel didn't flinch. "To protect the company. You violated privacy laws and harassed a team member. You crossed a legal and moral line." Emily stepped in, voice low but sharp. "You want to ruin me, Rachel? At least do it to my face." Then she reached into her bag and placed a USB on the desk. "This contains a recording of Rachel admitting she had us followed. I'm resigning." Daniel looked thunderstruck. What Emily placed a sealed envelope beside the USB. "I didn't work this hard to become ammunition in a corporate war." He tried to stop her, but her expression was unshakable. In the hallway, Daniel caught up. "You don't get to just walk away." She turned slowly, meeting his eyes. "I'm not walking away, Daniel. I'm choosing myself." But just as she turned to leave, Daniel's phone buzzed. His face changed. "The Chinese delegation is back. Early. They want to sign the final deal now." Emily hesitated, her pulse kicking up. He stepped closer. "Please, one last time, be in that room with me." She didn't nod. She didn't smile. She just walked beside him. And this time she didn't walk behind. What would you have done in Emily's place? Fight back or walk away for good? Tell us below, and if this story made your heart race, don't forget to tap the like button and share it with someone who needs a little inspiration today. The deal was signed, but the real victory still waited in silence. Emily Carter stood at the edge of the conference room in Chicago, her hands steady but her heart uncertain. The ink had dried on a billion-dollar agreement. The Han Global Holdings delegation had bowed, smiled, and even asked to work with her directly in the future. She should have felt triumphant, but all she felt was tired. As the room emptied, Daniel Whitman approached holding a manila folder. His voice was low, stripped of the usual steel. "Emily, can we talk?" She nodded. They walked down the hallway in silence, past the mirrored elevator doors, past the hotel staff, who now eyed her differently, some with admiration, others with suspicion. She no longer wore a gray uniform, but she still felt the weight of one. In Daniel's suite, the air felt different, no longer heavy with power, but with vulnerability. "You didn't have to come back in that room," he said. "I didn't," she replied, "but I had to finish what I started." He handed her the folder. "It's a revised contract, permanent role, Director of International Relations, full authority, your own team." She didn't open it. "Why are you offering this after everything?" "Because in 3 days," he said, "you've outperformed every executive I've hired in 3 years. Because you saved this company twice. And because," he paused, "because I trust you. That's rare for me." Emily looked at the folder, then back at him. "I need time," she said. "I'm not sure if this is who I want to become." Daniel's gaze softened. "Take it." She left the suite with the contract unopened. Back in New York, 3 weeks later, the rooftop terrace of Whitman International had been transformed. Strings of white lights swayed gently in the breeze. A few key investors from China had flown in for the celebration. Emily stood by the railing, watching the city flicker beneath her. Rachel Evans was gone, quietly dismissed after the board reviewed the recordings. No drama, just silence. Daniel joined her with 2 glasses of champagne. "The board signed off on your scholarship initiative," he said. Emily turned surprised. "We're starting with 25 full scholarships for staff who had to leave school for financial reasons," he added. "It's going to be called the Emily Carter Program." Her throat tightened. "You didn't have to do that." He tilted his head. "You did something for me no one else has ever done." "What's that?" "You saw the man behind the CEO. You held him accountable." Emily looked away, eyes burning. "I didn't want to fall for you, Daniel. I didn't want to fall for you either," he said simply. They fell into silence again, until he reached into his pocket. "I made a mistake the last time I offered you something." "Too soon," he said slowly, revealing a small box. She blinked. "Is this?" "Not a ring," he said quickly with a soft laugh. "Not yet. Just a promise." Inside was a key. She recognized it. "Your office. But now it's yours. Permanently. The plaque is already on the door." Emily closed the box, her fingers trembling slightly. "You're still trying to negotiate with me." "I'm offering you space," he said, "and time. The rest us will figure out later." And in that moment, the pressure in her chest began to ease. 3 months later, the same rooftop gleamed again, but this time not for business. Her wedding dress was soft, champagne silk, simple and elegant. Her mother, now in remission thanks to a new treatment plan, held her hand and whispered, "You changed the world from a mop bucket baby." Emily smiled through tears. As she walked down the aisle, the faces of executives and investors faded into a blur. All she saw was Daniel waiting unsure for the first time in his life. She joined him beneath an arch of white orchids. "You're radiant," he whispered. "You're tolerable," she teased back. They both smiled. When the officiant pronounced them husband and wife, the applause was soft, respectful, and real. Later that night, as the city blinked beneath them, Daniel led her into the executive floor. He opened the door to what used to be his private office. Now it held a new sign, Whitman Foundation. Director Emily Carter. "This is yours," he said. "Your idea, your mission, a space to keep doing what you do best, changing lives." She looked at him overwhelmed. "I didn't marry you for this," she whispered. "I know," he replied, "but I married you because you taught me what power looks like when it lifts, not crushes." Emily stood before the window, her reflection merging with the lights of the city. She had come full circle, from overlooked to empowered, from cleaning floors to shaping futures. And she had done it on her own terms. What would you have done if you were Emily, trusted your instincts, or walked away from everything safe? Do you believe second chances are earned or gifted? Now, we'd love to know, what did you think of this story? Comment number 3 if you loved it. Number 1 if you weren't satisfied, or number 2 if you found it just okay. Tell us which country you're watching from, and don't forget to tap the heart and share this video if it moved you.